The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Hating President Obama. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. At the height of the Iraq War, the vilification of President Bush the Younger was off the chart. The left in America accusing him and Vice President Cheney of lying to get us into the war, of sacrificing American military people so Halliburton could make money, and a variety of other vile allegations. Having seen President Clinton go through impeachment, I thought President Bush got it even worse with the smearing. Enter President Obama, who is also loathed by some Americans.
You want to know about that fight among Republicans running for president is all about? What's it all about? It's about who can hate President Obama the most. Let me finish with the contest of hate that seems to be going on among Republican candidates for president. Who can hate Obama the most? Let me finish tonight with this contest of hate we're watching among the Republican candidates for president. How much can you hate President Obama?
Did somebody say hate? Now, there's no question that Barack Obama's policies are controversial. He's a big tax and spend guy, has increased the power of the federal government, has ordered a quasi-amnesty for some illegal aliens, has withdrawn completely from Iraq, leading to chaos, has imposed a health care system many people despise. So, as far as policy goes, there's much angst directed at the president, and that's fine. On the personal front, though, Mr. Obama gets it too much. Here's a letter from Tom, who lives in Florida. Quote, "It's time to impeach Obama and the Islamistration. This guy is clearly sabotaging our country." Islamistration, wow. This is from Liz, who lives in New Mexico. Obama's a Muslim. Many Muslims do not care about Christians. The president fights a crisis all over the world with politics and love for his Muslims. Talking Points laments the haters on both sides. Smearing anyone should be unacceptable. In the upcoming presidential campaign, the Republican candidates surely will point out where they differ with President Obama and, by proxy, Hillary Clinton. One of Ms. Clinton's challenges is deciding whether to repudiate some of Mr. Obama's policies. Is she going to do that? Interesting dilemma. If she doesn't, Republicans certainly have an opportunity to put Hillary Clinton on the defensive. But any Republican candidate who says personal things about either the president or Mrs. Clinton will be making a tremendous mistake. The haters on both the left and the right make a lot of noise. They get a lot of attention, but most Americans don't like this kind of stuff. Once in a while, a takedown is necessary, but to make a living out of gutter sniping, ticket to defeat. Right now, America is in a bad place. We're weak overseas. Economy is still mainly rewarding the wealthy. President Obama has had 6 years to improve that situation. In my opinion, he has failed to do so. That's an objective analysis based upon facts, not a personal attack. Here's the final fact. I've had discussions with both George W. Bush and Barack Obama. They see the world very differently, but they both have absorbed tremendous punishment in order to serve their country. I respect that and hope the upcoming presidential campaign will not be a smear fest. There is simply too much at stake for that to happen. That's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with this liberal radio talk show host, Alan Combs, and conservative radio talk show host, Mike Gallagher. So, Gallagher, when you get somebody calling your show and Obama's a Muslim, Obama wants to destroy the country on purpose, he's the Manchurian candidate, what do you say to them?
Well, there are a lot of those kind of callers, frankly. But I could also line up 50 callers in about 2 minutes who think he has a chip in his head and he's getting instructions from Mars. I mean, just because people are over the top doesn't mean that represents the view of the criticism.
When they say to you, hey, Gallagher, Obama's a Muslim, what do you say?
I think they have a right to feel the way they feel based on his words and his actions. They don't hate him personally.
You say, yeah, he is a Muslim?
No, I don't believe he's a Muslim. I think people have a right, though, to say, well, this guy seems to be...
That's what talk radio is about.
He appears to be more sympathetic often to Muslims than he does Christians. He ignores Christian Coptics whose heads were chopped off. He immediately goes into the Whitechapel thing. But that's why that's what they believe that based on, Bill.
But to make the linkage for a poor response to the Egyptians, migrants, and they were just workers, got their heads cut off.
Christians.
Right. To make a linkage to Obama's a Muslim, I mean, that's a pretty big leap. You can criticize the policy.
I think it's over the top, and I think your Talking Points memo is perfect, that it shouldn't be about personal, it should be about hating what he's done.
All right, now, Combs, when somebody calls you and says Obama's a Muslim, what do you say?
Whistling. I say it's ridiculous. I also say when people call me and say Bush is a Nazi, That's over the top. It is totally wrong, regardless, as you point out.
Do you
which
cut
side.
those callers off?
I give them a chance to speak, and I will meet them with my free speech.
All right, so let's take the Bush-Nazi thing. Okay, Bush lied to get us into war. You hear that all the time. And Cheney wanted Americans to die so Halliburton can make money.
Absurd. Or 9/11 was an inside job, and they knew, Bush knew, Cheney knew. That's absurd. I go after callers to say that.
But we shouldn't shut it down.
No, we don't shut it
People
down.
get to feel that way. They can say, wait a minute, why aren't you defending the fact that Christians are under siege in the Sudan? Why don't you speak out? People are allowed to come up with an analysis.
But when you say that Obama is too sympathetic to Muslims over Christians, that's dog whistling too.
No, it's
As
not.
if there's anything wrong with being equal toward all religious faiths.
Wait. Combs. Surely you understand the perception. Surely you do. I know you don't agree with it, but the perception is that the president goes out of his way to give cover to Muslims, while on the Christian side, he brings up stuff that happened 1,000 years ago.
I think he was making a bigger point about egalitarianism.
But surely you understand when you do that, you're opening yourself up to, hey, you don't give a hoot about the Christians, and you're trying to give cover to the Muslims.
You're opening yourself up simply by being President Obama or any president and stating a thing.
The intellectual argument I just made, you understand.
I understand. I certainly understand the argument.
Let me tell you where it started. When candidate Obama said that, and when he disparaged people and mocked people for clinging to God or guns and their religion, people take that personally, Bill. That's a very personal
statement.
And guess what? That's why people don't like this guy.
But wait. But Gallagher, you don't justify bad behavior by pointing to other bad behavior. I'm sure that's a daily theme on your show.
But there's also a theme that Christians believe in. You can hate the sin and love the sinner. You can hate what somebody says.
As long as you stay on the actions of the man and not... You know, look, that's why Giuliani got in trouble, and I hope you guys saw my T-points on Giuliani, because I perfectly understand where he's coming from. He takes terrorism personally. He had to go through it. It changed him dramatically, and he sees the president dithering about it, and it drives him crazy.
But he went after Obama's parents, saying he wasn't raised properly. I mean, that's over the top. That's absurd.
He just said his grandfather introduced him to this, Frank Lloyd.
That's dog whistling. Introduce him to a guy who's a communist.
But I think that's a fact.
But so what? So what?
Well,
so that's like calling him a communist. I mean, that's like saying, oh, he's a commie too.
No, it isn't. The point was that Mr. Giuliani was trying to explain how he got to where he is, and he said his background is a far-left background.
He said that his parents didn't raise him in an American way, basically. The same thing Tim Hulskamp, the Republican congressman, just said. That is absurd.
The New York Times took Giuliani up on his challenge and did an evaluation of President Obama's speeches. Every time he expressed extreme patriotism, he also accompanied that with a scathing critique of the United States. That came from the New York Times this week. Well, hardly a critic of President Obama.
I don't think even Combs will deny.
Even Combs.
Even Combs will deny.
Even you.
Even me.
That the outlook of President Obama, a man of the left, is that many times America has brought all this on itself. That's what the left's mantra is.
That is too simple an explanation of what the left, quote unquote, as if we all walk in lockstep with each other, believes. Yes, but he's been willing to stand up and say, here's where we've been wrong, so we can improve and be a better country. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
It seems to be what he believes, though, that America is bad, and that's what Rudy was saying. How about some optimism from a commander-in-chief, not what's wrong with America?
Dissent, the highest form of patriotism.
Good debate. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.